Welcome to the IPC APEX 2025 Decode Podcast live interviews. We got my buddy Nino over here, who I actually kind of consider as a friend. You know, he only charged me $15,000 for the yo-yo. I told him he's a sucker because I was going to pay $16,000. Yeah, so custom Cofactr logo thing. But I mean, honestly, as far as I've seen a lot of automation equipment as far as like buying components and kitting services, but I feel you guys are, you know, right at, you know, the very top of it. And maybe you could just kind of explain about Cofactr and what you do there over there.
Well, thank you for that warm intro, Sean. That was very nice.
Almost felt genuine.
Dude,
yeah,
it is.
I mean, it's different than your normal personality, but we're going to take that. Cofactr it's doing a lot, right? But the main goal is to be a supply chain risk management and procurement automation solution. So when you think about the idea of a bill of materials, right, you're going to have a ton of parts in it. So how do you make informed decisions to select the right parts that aren't going to make manufacturing's job hard? So if an engineer uses Cofactr, they're going to go in and they're going to see a ton of data on lifecycle, supply. It's just going to make them very informed when they're making their decisions. And then it's the next step of, okay, well, now you got to go buy parts. You have to get them in. And as we all know in manufacturing, and I spent 11 years on your side of the industry, when you get a BOM, you're looking at a lot of parts, you're like, man, that's obsolete. Can't find that. Mm-hmm. And you're doing all of this quoting and all this work only to find out that maybe they're going to consign a lot of that because they know that they picked parts that are a pain.
Right.
Right. So Cofactr then makes the upload of that BOM and the solution of finding what is the most optimal way from price and lead time to buy that very easy. I mean, it takes minutes to do it, right? You could buy a 200-line BOM in a couple minutes.
Maybe
Cofactr.
even less from the demos I've seen.
Yeah, sometimes it could be less, right? And if you have stock of those parts, it'll show you. So you're going to buy what you need as the delta and not just rebuying over and over again.
Right.
And then it's obviously the hard part then beyond that is physically getting those parts in, managing the kits. And Cofactr will take those into our ITAR ESD safe warehouse. We'll do image capture, CFC capture, we'll split, splice, we'll reel, and we'll kit it for an individual line based off that attrition model. And we'll do all of that for you in one simple platform to view it.
It's almost as easy, and I feel like I should be selling for this guy sometimes.
We're all starting to wonder if you are.
It's awesome because like it's literally like imagine uploading your BOM to Amazon and being able to click buy now, swipe, and it just sends. Like it's amazing.
Yeah,
like it's literally the future, the next level. I'm sure it's going to be everyone's going to have this eventually, right? But
it's continuing
right now,
to evolve.
It's so cool from my standpoint to be able to see and watch and be like, wow, that's very cool.
Even since our original one, when you and I met and we kind of talked about the platform, it's expanded beyond that. Now, instead of just, okay, I've got a BOM I need to buy for electronic components, how do I buy everything with this simplicity, right? Like if I get a quote from a vendor and then I have to go into a system and I have to upload that, you know, quote data, I have to maybe review 4 or 5 quotes across, let's just say a PCB, right? Well, then if I want to use same Cofactr magic to optimize for price and lead time, how do I do that for the entire build, not just the EE parts? And now Cofactr can do that. So it's whole BOM procurement and issuing of POs. When they send you back an order confirmation, Cofactr reads that and says, all right, cool. That order's confirmed. Here's your ship date. You're clear to build.
That's amazing.
It's going to be great. Yeah.
So you're saying, I've heard you say how the engineers would use it, and then it sounds obviously super powerful for the purchasing
supply
department,
chain purchasing, yeah.
But then also quality loves it also, right? Can you kind of bring out how it helps the quality department?
You know what? Those are the 3 pillars that I say that we lean on. It's engineering, supply chain, and quality manufacturing. Quality loves it because you have lot code traceability, right? So an individual stock lot might be on 4 or 5 different products or boards that you guys have. And if there's a failure point on one of those, how much risk do you have across the other boards? Yeah. Cofactr will help you track the individual stock lot. We have a lot ledger that'll show you what you purchased, what you've consumed, what builds that's on, what individual boards that's on, and all of that CFC data, that invoice data, that date code, lot code, country of origin, that's all attached right in Cofactr.
In a beautiful PDF too.
Yeah.
It is beautiful looking.
And the other cool thing is you can export all of this data from the tool. So none of that it's not stuck anywhere. If you want it, if you guys have to run reports for financials, if you have to run reports for quality, that data is all existing and you can drop it out pretty quickly.
Sounds like a huge force multiplier altogether, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like you could do a lot more, a lot faster with less.
We have an OEM customer that they were very kind to say this, and it was just wonderful to hear. They said scaling their manufacturing from 10 to 100 and 100 to 1,000 was as easy as adding a zero. Because they had Cofactr.
It is.
And
Amazing.
like, I mean, spending so much time on your guys' side of the industry, that doesn't happen very often. It's painful to scale manufacturing. I mean, do you guys find that like when you guys are ramping up, it's not getting any easier to say, okay, now instead of 10, I need to go buy 100 of this bomb? Like,
It's way harder.
it's way harder.
Way harder.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the guys that made Cofactr, Matt and Phil, their whole goal was how do we just make this industry streamlined and faster, more efficient?
Well, plus too, like, so I know for me an example is I might buy my prototype lot from DigiKey, right? But if I'm going to buy this huge production run, Arrow might be the best.
Right.
Avnet might be the best.
Right.
I have to go to these sites, put in my API codes, put in my usernames to get my pricing, to see where I'm at, where I can just plug it in there and it's all there.
Yeah, Cofactr, I mean, if you have negotiated pricing or if you have quotes, right, from a specific supplier, let's say DigiKey says they'll sell you this IC for a lot cheaper, right, because you're going to buy it in volume. That pricing can be individually in your instance of Cofactr, and you can then go execute procurement against that, right? But to your point, maybe Arrow is the best way to buy it, or maybe Avnet, or maybe Newark is the best way to buy this part. But it's not normal for someone to go line by line down a 100-line bomb and say, I'm going to upload this to every website and see what's the best and fastest way to buy it,
And then
right?
5 different spreadsheets to put all the pricing
exactly.
in there,
So
right? In different columns of what.
And whatever
vendor.
you saved going through that effort is lost in the time that it took you,
Exactly.
right?
So
And
all of
in
these
this-
hours you waste.
In the same calculation from the beginning of the upload,
Right.
it's all of them are listed.
That's
And if you
incredible.
change purchasing rules, if you say, you know what, I want to exclude this certain distributor, Cofactr will just redo the math and say, okay, now the best way to buy it is this.
Yeah.
Right? But we're not a distributor. We're not a broker. We're not doing anything. We're not obfuscating any data. We're saying this is just the best way for you to go out and buy it.
And that's kind of been the theme here of using AI in the background to elevate your employees, not replace your employees,
No.
right? We're not, and you're never going to, I don't know, maybe one day replace a purchasing agent, but this is like a tool that you can finally, like you can buy an amazing pick and place line for an operator. You can buy an amazing soldering iron with special tips for a J standard operator, but purchasing agent, what do you got? Microsoft 365?
Right.
That's like their upgrade, right?
Yeah.
I got an ergonomic mouse or keyboard. But
Just
now
like a
they
better
actually have
spreadsheet,
a tool,
right?
They have a tool that, help them with the kitting and help them with the purchasing.
Well, I imagine it also is hugely helpful in the quoting process because, I mean, how much faster are you going to be able to turn around all that data and get useful information to figure out what it's going to take versus if your process is going manually one by one and figuring it out.
Right.
If it's a huge job and it's a complex build that has a lot of parts you have to procure. And I've seen it happen before where during the life cycle of the quoting process, the parts that they started on aren't available anymore.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're really kind of vulnerable the longer that process takes. You need to turn that quote around quickly, get the job if so, and then shore up your supply to make sure that you're going to be able to build it. So there's a lot of moving pieces that go into landing a new job. And it sounds like the software would be super helpful.
You're spot on. I personally believe, and it's our philosophy, that if OEMs are using this tool, right, they will not affect in a negative way how their suppliers, if they choose to go from a CM and say, please go buy the parts, do all this work. If an OEM uses this, the CM's job is going to be cake, right? Because they're not picking parts that are going to be negatively impacting, as you're saying, even from quote to order.
Yep.
So great point.
No.
Well, Nino, that's probably as good of a spot to end as any. So as a compliment to me, obviously.
No, I mean, I've got questions, anything, you know?
No, this was great. It's fascinating to hear about this technology and your platform, and it sounds like a real winner for anybody in those 3 pillars that you mentioned.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on and
thanks
just getting
for
to
your
speak
time.
about it. Yeah, just want to
Thank
make
you,
the industry
Nino.
better. I think we all do, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You bet.
Yeah.
Good luck
Excellent.
at the show, buddy.
Yeah, I hope Apex is great for you.
Thank
Yeah,
you for the
likewise, guys.
yo-yo.
Oh, you're welcome.
It was
Yeah, if you
free,
need
by the way.
yo-yos,
He
we have
gave it to me.
yo-yos for you. So.
He's your source. All right. Thank you.